challenges that would confront them on the road.
Well, I think you come together as a team more than anything else. You know, roommate, you know, you're there sharing the room together, and you're going out to dinner all the time, and you know, you just living together as a team.
The toughest thing is going to be trying to stay mentally ready for every game this month. I think that's going to be the toughest challenge, especially when we come down. I mean, next week we got 5 more games before we get a chance to go home, and then we go right back on the road again. So next 5 games, I think, are going to be the telltale story.
The monstrous road trip is a modern-era record of 11 games in 11 different cities. The Flames have proven they're almost as comfortable on the road, though, as they are at home, compiling the league's best record as the visiting team, despite a sluggish 2-3 start on their current excursion. Some may think the Flames are on a downer, but head coach Terry Crisp refuses to take a negative viewpoint.
When you say negatives, there's not, because we agreed upon this when we started this 11-game road trip. There was nothing negative about it. We were going to keep it that way. We wouldn't dwell on it, and everything we did was going to be in a positive vein and a positive attitude. We've kept it that way, so I'm not about to break the chain.
In general, it's going to be a tough grind. It's going to be a very good test for us, and I think that you look around the NHL, and if there's any team that you would want to go on the road, I think it's the Calgary Flames because of their past record on the road. And, you know, we've been playing well on the road, and we're a team that really, I think we simplify the game on the road. That's why we have the good success.
And when the bus pulls out of the Nassau Coliseum parking lot tonight, 6 games of the Odyssey will be history, and the Flames will be more than halfway home again. And that guy you heard screaming in the background at the very end of the piece, that was Terry Crisp reading the riot act between periods, because the Flames, my friends, are being doused 4-1 by the New York Islanders. You know, they lost the first 2 games of this mammoth road trip by an aggregate score of 14-1. Then they won 2 and then lost in overtime Tilden, Washington. But tonight, it's the Islanders 4 and Calgary 1. And the Bud Light hockey news, including our scoreboard, comes your way next as the NHL Tonight continues from Nassau Coliseum on Long Island. Makes no mistake, does Mr. Shepard. It is Buffalo 1 and St. Louis nothing in the first period at St. Louis. And, of course, our score after 1, the Calgary Flames trailing the New York Islanders by a score of 4-1. Mike Emmerich and Bill Clement standing by for the second period of action. The NHL Tonight continues.
And in the goal for the United States, Bud Light Zone, Spuds McKenzie.
His name is Spuds McKenzie. Sending goal for the USA. Stopping pucks both left and right. You know the dude can flat out play.
When the pucks stop flying, there's no denying Spud celebrates with Bud Light. He knows everything else is just a light.
This Bud Light is out of sight, my little Spudsky.
25 attempts by the Islanders, only 2 were steered wide by the Flames.
Incredible. Shot total alone impressive at 18-6. Now, should we expect more from Calgary defensively than this, or not?
We should expect something from them. I mean, they are the 12th ranked team defensively in the NHL. That's the bottom half. So they are capable of defensive lapses, but that was pretty atrocious defense. And they weren't making contact. They got out hit 11-5. All of those signs, to me, lead to the fact that they weren't quite sharp enough mentally. They weren't psyched up to play this hockey game the way they should have been.
We've seen some games this year that have changed from one period to the next. See if that develops here as Conroy shuffles one back in deep. In case you're just joining us, we're from the Nassau Coliseum in Uniondale, New York, where Makela fires one that is blocked off by the close checking of Roberts. Back for Conroy, and his shot whistled wide. Puck kept along by Janssen. Took a hit from Roberts, but it is Makela moving it further. Trottier slotted one, but that picked up by Lube. Score of our game here at the Nassau Coliseum is 4-1 in favor of the New York Islanders over the Calgary Flames, as a shot by McCrimmon was tipped away. Lube got a piece of that. Stepping away with it is Thomas Janssen. Janssen winding one on to Makela that is tipped away from the reach of Trottier. Suter and Natras, the defense pair for Terry Crisp's Calgary Flames. John Tonelli moving along, and that one is sent on Conroy. Now Tonelli moves in. One-time Islander shuffles one off that comes to Suter for a shot, and that grabbed by Smith, and then Tonelli was skating by, and Gently, Smith went down to the ice. Two appeared to have sort of a friendly exchange, if there was one. Calgary has made a change in goal.
First of all, a look at the Billy Smith save at the other end. John Tonelli comes right through and says hello to an old teammate.
Doug Datswell is one of several splendid goalies to come from Cornell, along with Hayward, Elliott, Dryden, names from the past that have emerged from Cornell to the National Hockey League. And he has only started one of the last 11 games for Calgary. Vernon carries the load, and that much seems to be an assumption. Merzen stepping in, and Merzen's pass couldn't be reached by Tonelli. Out with it comes Kerr. 2-on-1 with LaFontaine. Fires wide. Puck kept by Leiter, and that on goal, and Datswell turned that away. Gilbert behind. LaFontaine can't get to the front. Play taken by Merzen. Merzen's pass comes along to Mullen, and Mullen checked by Dineen, but forces it in on Billy Smith. 18 minutes to go. Second period of play. Alan Kerr drops. LaFontaine pokes it through, but reading that play and bringing it back out is Otto. Crisp pass wound up going off Hull and is taken by the goaltender Billy Smith. Sweeps it back along. Punch from Dineen. Hull tried to feed one further, but instead this is Dineen. Pass skips away too far for the reach of LaFontaine, and it's McInnes. Colin Patterson's pass is cut off by Kerr, and Kerr steps back in, ducked most of the check, but lost control of the puck. Dineen puts it in on Datswell. Datswell comes from Scarborough, Ontario, 5'10", 175 pounds, and 24 years of age. And like many goaltenders in the NHL, he played in the American League at Moncton. Otto, what a quick shot, and Billy Smith answering in goal. Such quickness for a guy that, well, maybe we just make the assumption that big guys don't go quickly, but well, boy, is Otto.
Talk to Mario Lemieux about that.
Yeah.
But it's true. In general, you give away some mobility and when you're that big. Joel Otto, if he could get the puck up quickly, in close, could be a big scorer. He hasn't had the kind of season he had last year. He's only got 6 goals this year, but he's still a force out there. When push comes to shove, you really want him on your side.
Play continues as Brad McCrimmon hands to Sutter, but that pass was too far for Lanny McDonald. Conroy goes back. Icing is waved off on this play, and a drive by Sutter hit off the post, loose puck in front, and cleared away. Sutter tries once more, but this one is brought out by Basson. Magically just poke-checked away from him. And we get a whistle and stoppage of play. A penalty being assessed by Andy Van Helleman, just getting up as Bozak, and it appears a foul has been called on the Islanders. Power play to begin with the Flames trailing by 3.
Billy Smith, well, I'm not sure he did make the save. It looked as if it might have chopped off the side of the net. Brad Lauer has been called for hooking. Is that the penalty there? Boy, starting to call it pretty tight right now. There sits Brad Lauer. Well, if the Islanders take penalties tonight, that might be the Flames' only way to get back into it. They haven't shown the intensity that the Islanders have. They have the top-ranked power play in the National Hockey League.
Brett Hall moves it on to Tonelli. Dineen chops at him. Tonelli still controlling. Close quarters pass to Hokenlube, then back to Suter. Pass tipped by Trottier and sent to the front by Hall, but it must be played again by Lube. This is Gary Suter. From Madison, Wisconsin to Lube. Then back to Suter once more. Hurried over to Hall. Shot, stick, save, Billy Smith. Puck cleared. Nice play by Suter, but he was unable to hold it in. And when he brought it back over the blue line from center ice, an offside was called. You know, we talk about, oftentimes Gretzky is mentioned as a guy who sees all over the ice. And sometimes that's mentioned also on Calgary's power play, how well they see as we get a chance to see that shot by Hall that Billy Smith blocked.
They have so many players that see the ice well, Mike. Talk about hand-eye coordination. Gary Suter always has his head up. He seems to know where everybody is. And we talk about seeing the ice. To try and put it in street terms, imagine someone standing in front of you about 3 feet away talking to you, and you're looking at him, concentrating on what he's doing, and something going on behind him, 10 or 15 feet behind him, whatever it is, something moving. Try to see that at the same time, and something perhaps 10 or 15 feet even further behind that person or that group of people happening, and trying to see everything that's going on and understanding everything that's going on at the same time. The guys that see the ice well have that depth of field. They can see everything, no matter if it's close or far.
This play is worked back along by Lube. Lube pivoting, works it back, and the play made back over to Suter. You know, I was just noticing there while they were playing the periphery that the Flames didn't have anyone inside the four-man defensive box. We'll ask a question in a moment. Here's a try at the front by Nieuwendyk, and the rebound shot wide by Lube. And we get a stoppage of play as the puck wound up on the back of the goal. Should we always assume that the idea is to get a guy right in there inside the four-man defensive box for the offense at the front of the net or not?
Not necessarily. You see where Nieuwendyk is? This is him getting the puck. They like to move to him beside the net. He will either try and dance out in front and jam it by Billy Smith, or try and hit Håkan Lube, who usually stands off the other side. Certain teams like to plunk a guy in front and just direct the puck at the net. Other teams will try and move quickly in and out of that area. The Flames are one of those latter teams. They'll move in and out of it, try and sneak the puck into Nieuwendyk, and then he can either pass off or dance out in front himself.
Flames have made a change. They still have a couple of good point men out there, and Al McGinnis, who can really bring it, and Pat McCrimmon.
He sure can. Up until recently, McInnes was playing with Gary Suter on the point on defense on the power play, but Terry Crisp has mixed it up. Now he has really two strong pairs back there. He's got Brad McCrimmon now with McInnes, and he mixes it up by putting Brett Hull, when he's in uniform, out there with Gary Suter.
Just seen a two-line pass out of the defensive zone. Obviously, you have to have some restrictions for those of you just learning the game and how far ahead you can pass it. Otherwise, a team would station someone way down the ice, and then the defensive team would have to station someone there, too. And so for purposes of keeping some zone coverage in the game, or the pass from outside or inside the defensive zone across the red line is not kosher.
It's easy to understand if you look at the red line as a blue line. If the puck is passed from inside the defensive zone, the red line is nothing more than the attacking blue line. You can't precede the puck over that red line if the passes come from inside your zone.
This is Al McGinnis lining it up behind. 8 seconds left on the power play to the Flames, which has produced nothing. In comes Kerr. That's well deep in his cage, and the puck is behind the net where he reaches out to just flick it away. Otto moving it back up through Bullard and along to Joe Mullen, with Bullard breaking. Mullen moves and jams one wide, and then Bullard locked up with Billy Smith as the puck cleared to McInnes. Winds up and fires one. That ricocheted off Otto, and here's Kerr looking ahead for Lauer, and now carrying on himself. Feeds to Lauer, but the play was offside. 13:53 to go, second period. We hope you're enjoying this one tonight in the Nassau Coliseum. 4-1 Islanders.
Dodge Shadow ES. When you look at its 60 standard features, its turbocharged engine, its 770 protection plan, when you consider the fact that the Shadow ES is a better value, almost $700 less than the Chevy Cavalier C24, you'll agree, when it comes to outstanding value, it's gotta be a Dodge.
And with $500 cash back, you've now got an even better value.
You know, we've mentioned that Mike Bossy is absent from the Islanders lineup. Jamie McCowan, defenseman who had 40 points last year, has been missing all year from the Calgary lineup, too. And it's so easy to forget about those men and don't play at all in the course of the season. Here is Bakota with a shot that is steered away by Datswell, and Lanny McDonald picks it up. 13:30 to go, second period. In case you're just joining us, this is our telecast on ESPN from the Nassau Coliseum. In the second period of our game, Calgary trailing the Islanders by a count of 4-1. Merzen a shot. That blocked away by Bakota, who gives him a shoulder to boot, and on with it comes Henry. Henry moving in. Pass came back to him, but then it is rocketed around the far side by Tim Hunter and back down. No icing call on this. Some of the fans boo that, as moving with it is Diddick. The league is becoming looser on icing calls now. They want the game to continue to speed, and in mid-year here, the linesmen are allowing a lot more to go without an icing call. Here's Makala, pass in front, blocked away by a sprawling McCrimmon. Brian Trottier trying to shake from McCrimmon, backhander, good save made by Dadswell, and the rebound couldn't be converted by Henry. Henry to the corner, defended by Merzin. Puck pops for the centering pass that went under Trottier, sticking back down. Billy Smith tends this one in the Islander goal. Diddick, Henry, Trottier, and LaFontaine. The Islander goals, in case you're just joining us, Brett Hull had the first goal of the game for Calgary. Puck flipped off the glove of Brett Sutter. Followed up, though, by Makala. Makala duels with McCrimmon, and the shot shoveled off of Dadswell by Derek King. King tests with Patterson. Puck tipped by Conroy. Conroy in front, and it was one-handedly deflected wide by Brent Sutter. Kept by Lauer. Shouldered by Patterson. And Suter clears back out. Joel Otto steps ahead. Drops it off to Hull. A drive and a stick save by Billy Smith. Sutter clears off Suter. It's chopped back in deep by Roberts. So Dineen with 11 and a half to go in the second period, and his team ahead in the game 4-1. Saw a passing play not click. Suter back now to Lube. Lube up the wing, and it's Al McGinnis. Finesses to Lube, and just arriving in time to break it up was Brent Sutter.
You know, Nieuwendyk was in all alone as well. I don't know if Lube knew he had him to his side. If Lube controls, he can shoot or pass to Nieuwendyk. It was a 2-on-none situation.
Lube once more, and the shot cradled by Billy Smith. Midway in the second period, Islanders lead by 3.
Håkan Lube is number 12 in red for the Calgary Flames. He passes to Al McGinnis and then breaks for the net, but the pass is just a little behind him. You could see just going out of the right of your screen there was Joey Nieuwendyk. He was in all alone.
Here's Gilbert in stride. Alan McGinnis leaning on him, and Gilbert clips one in front, and from his knees, Dadswell is able to turn to Guy. Then on to Mullen. Mullen's pass is tipped by Bullard to Tonelli, gives back, gets back. Tonelli shot off the glass. And Al McGinnis controls for Calgary. You saw in that feature between the first and second periods that the Flames are on this long road trip. A shot by Kerr blocked down in front. This is the 6th game of it. They lost 9-0 at Winnipeg, 5-1 at Detroit, then had 2 wins, one at Los Angeles 5-2 and at Philadelphia 3-2 before losing in overtime to Washington 5-4. And this is only halfway. They go on to the Rangers tomorrow, then St. Louis, Chicago, Vancouver, Edmonton. Then they're home for 10 of the last 16, and that's the end of the season. This is Diddick. Centers one, and it's cut off by Tonelli and spun back out to Bozak. Bozak eyed up by Finley, able to turn him, and Bozak shoveled one. Another save by Billy Smith on Tonelli.
Boy, what a great job by Smith. He came out to force Bozak's hand. Super move by Bozak to get by Finley. He gave him the fade to the inside and then moved to the outside, but Smith was there.
Lest there be any doubt, the old man still has her, doesn't he?
You bet he does.
College basketball doubleheader coming up on ESPN tomorrow. At 8 p.m. is Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, St. John's at Syracuse. Followed 2 hours later by Missouri at Iowa State. Hockey or basketball, your spot is ESPN. Fans talking it up here. They have seen an Islander explosion in the first period. We're halfway through the second. Their team ahead of the Calgary Flames 4-1. Natras moving ahead and drops one. Guided away by Tim Hunter, but taken by Dineen. And cleared for Merzin. Right after him is Basson. Puck lifted to Lanny McDonald. Up the wing now to Bozak for a drive. Blocked away by Smith. Followed up by McDonald. Pinching is Merzin. Off Hunter. Chopped from Dineen. The battle between Dineen and Bozak continues with Bozak moving away. Sets up McDonald. Quick wrist shot is blocked away by Derek Smith. Now out in front, a shot blocked off and held by Billy Smith. I didn't know Philadelphia had made a trade to bring Derek Smith here. Derek King was who I was thinking, and Billy Smith in the goal.
Boy, the Flames defensemen certainly aren't reluctant to get in deep. That's Dana Murthy in there pressing. You know, this line that Calgary has out there, there's 19, Tim Hunter in front. With Steve Bozek and Lanny McDonald, that would be considered their fourth line. They have worked the hardest in this hockey game so far, and Terry Crisp spots that immediately with the help of his assistants. He's got Pierre Paget with the headset on the bench. And they will play. They will play more regularly than some other lines that he has set up tonight, simply because they're working hard. That is something that before the game the Flames knew, Mike, they had to do to beat the Islanders, and it just didn't happen in the first. I talked to Pierre Paget. I said, what about the Islanders? He said they work real hard. We have to be prepared to play them on a work level. And they just weren't in the first period.
Trache on the tie-up with Otto, and the puck swung back out by Finley. Going back to get it is Suter. You know, I guess we just sit up here and we watch and we just assume that automatically teams are prepared because the game is going to start at a certain time and it's just going to happen. But it's not like a light switch, huh? Here's one sent in front for Patterson. Finessed over for a backhander, and getting a piece of that was Billy Smith off Brett Hall. The battle continues. Otto there, and Andy Van Hellemond has spotted a penalty. Expect some feistiness here from the Flames, being a bit frustrated by that first period, but none comes here. Power play to come up to Calgary, trailing 4-1.
Night against the Rangers.
Gary Suter controlling on this third power play. Hall's shot is tipped away by Kerr. Tonelli leaned on by Deneen. Tries to fight it loose for Nieuwendyk. Out to challenge Smith. Nieuwendyk behind. Flips it off for Tonelli. Kerr and Sutter watching. Deneen and Conroy the defense for the shorthanded Islanders. Puck comes up to Brent Sutter. Checked though by Lube. 5 players and freight training the whole bunch was Nieuwendyk. Puck kicked back over to Hall. Trying to get away from Sutter. He flipped one in front that was off Nieuwendyk and wide. Tonelli jams it loose from Sutter. Lube right back for Tonelli. Points it to Hall. Keeps it moving to Tonelli. A minute 10 power play. Back over to Suter. Then Hall. Then Tonelli. Hall again. Deflected but saved by Smith. And Kerr comes in with an extra measure on Nieuwendyk.
You know, the Flames do so many things well in their power play. 3 times so far in this power play, Mike, they lost the puck in the offensive zone and forechecked their way back into possession of the puck. And in watching Gary Suter back on defense, one of the things that he does so successfully to buy himself time, he's wearing number 20, dressed in red, so watch for this. Every time he gets the puck just about back on the point, he winds up with a half wind-up like he's going to shoot. And most times, that freezes everybody. But he very seldom follows through with it. He is capable of it. If he's got somebody in front, he just lets it rip. But watch his head. Always up, looking around, even when he does his wind-up.
See if the puck comes back to him. He's matched up with Al McGinnis on the points, but the Islanders will force things here. And puck just rather idly given up, it seems. Mullen now behind to Suter. And Otto buries Gilbert, and that will be the 4th interference call in this game.
Well, there are some that call interference calls the lazy man's penalty. And in this particular case, all the way back, Greg Gilbert wasn't really doing much. Watch right in dead center of your screen. There's the white and there's the red. Now you tell me what that's all about.
That counts as cardinal sin when you're on the power play and it's back in that end, isn't it?
Well, I'll tell you what, the puck was protected. Gilbert wasn't doing anything to get in the way. Joel Otto is usually the thinking man's kind of player.
Mentioned the 4th interference call of this game. There have been 7 calls, all minors, and that's the 3rd interference call on Calgary. So the 2 teams will go a man short for 50 seconds, and then it'll be 1 minute and 10 seconds of the Islanders' 4th power play, barring any further penalty calls. It is Gary Suter starting ahead with it. Suter pulls away from Makela, moves on Deneen. Play is offside going in. puck must precede members of the attacking team over that blue line.
Steve Bozek, he's one of the players that really taxis in and out of this lineup. We talked about the depth that the Calgary Flames have. I was in Calgary a few weeks ago, and out of the lineup that particular night, they weren't injured. As a fifth line were Perry Berezan, Brett Hull, and that man we just saw, Steve Bozak. There's John Tonelli. He's in the lineup most of the time. But that was a fifth line. There are teams in the NHL that would love to have a line like that as a third line. That's how strong the Flames are up front.
Well, the ex-Devil, Rich Chernomaz, was called up today and scratched. They'd just like to keep that extra insurance around, apparently. Puck jammed right back out again. The Flames scratched 4 players from the roster, and they have one playing for the Canadian Olympic team. That's Jim Poplinski. Here's Suter moving ahead. Pass flicked off Bozak and will be retrieved by Mikko Makala. 6.5 minutes to go in this second period. 4-1 in favor of the Islanders. 8 seconds from now, it will be an Islander power play of 1 minute and 10 seconds duration to begin. Janssen handing over to Conroy. Slides it to Makala, and Makala just flips it into McGinnis. Now the power play has begun to the Islanders. McGinnis just cruising and chewing up some time and making them chase it. Shift change on now for Calgary with this penalty killing to begin. It is Merzen back with Natras, and up front Nieuwendyk along with Roberts. Makala trying to turn Merzen. Out in front, LaFontaine scores! Another power play goal, 5-1.
Writing. Mikko Makala simply beats Dana Merzen wide to the outside, and he mesmerizes everybody else. Everybody was turned to watch Mikko Makala, who was sneaking in behind. The last guy you'd want to have wide open in the slot, Pat LaFontaine. Watch the pass. Roberts is back, Natras is back, Merzen is back, 3 Reds back. LaFontaine cruises in. That's an easy goal. Nobody made LaFontaine pay the price. And when Pat LaFontaine gets it wide open there, you saw what happened. It's 5-1 Islanders.
What do you think he was writing?
Tell the boys to toughen up next practice, and I'm going to give them some drills to show them how.
All right, Bakota back, hammered by Lanny McDonald. And the play sent back up by Leiter. Dadswell comes out. First one there is Basson, and that went through Merzen, thrown behind by Hunter.
Well, the problems the Flames are having aren't drawing board problems. When you don't have the concentration level there, you start breaking down. It's not the X's and O's. It's a simple matter of preparation.
Puck tipped out by Natras. Hunter, and forced from him by Henry. Now Hunter and Bakota will go. Hunter has been in a bunch. Bakota probably too, but not at this level.
And you know, this is the next time since I said, if Bakota wants him, Hunter won't turn him down this time. But Bakota went to him in such an assertive way. Tim Hunter couldn't have avoided fighting him that time. Bakota went right to him. He has been trying to challenge him all night.
Well, there'll likely be 5-minute majors. And they come here in the latter stages of the second period, which sees the Islanders in command 5-1.
I have never seen Bakota fight, but I can certainly tell you that he's one strong boy. He took Tim Hunter, turned him around, and just about tipped him over the boards into the Islanders bench.
6'2", 195. He's 21 from Saskatoon and played last year in the Western Hockey League in Spokane. Bakota and Hunter both got fighting majors, as we'd guessed, at 14:51. Diddick, a good hard drive and a pass saved by Dadswell. Puck hand passed ahead by Bullard to Tonelli, and that will stop things.
You know, it probably wouldn't take Bakota long to get the Islanders major penalties for fighting up. You had done a little study on that, and it figured that the Islanders trailed all 21 teams. They were in last place in majors for fighting in the NHL.
And in overall penalty minutes as well. You may recall, those of you who were watching our game recently in Detroit with Chicago, that Detroit and Chicago were 2 of the top 3, and they still are. Boston is at the top, and the bottom 3 have been for some time the Rangers, the Islanders, and Hartford until most recently. Shot went, and after it goes Gilbert. Drops it, but McGinnis is there in the final 4.5 minutes of the second period. Play made out now to Bullard. Bullard moving in and firing one that was tipped by Smith wide. McInnes with a drive. That one up high. Scramble, but emerging with it is Conroy. Joe Mullen is there. Taps it back to Guy. Double teamed, though, by Kerr and LaFontaine. Puck whips further to Tonelli. Gives in the slot to McInnes. Score! Al McInnes with his typical blazer. And the Flames get their second goal of the game.
Al McInnes, people's opinions, has the hardest shot from the defense in the National Hockey League, and this time he's actually moving in, heading towards Billy Smith. That has to be a scary situation to be in for Billy Smith. What a rocket from Al McInnes. It closes it to 5-2. McInnes knows he's got a guy going down. When McInnes and Suter are back on defense, that's the element they give the Flames that no other team in the NHL has, I don't think. They both are capable of moving in and doing a transition from pass to shot or shot to pass with their heads up. That time McInnes knew the guy was coming down in front of him. He still shot it over him and went high to Billy Smith's glove side and scored.
18th of the year for McInnes, and his team is back to within 3. It is Lou rolling it back ahead, and on with it comes Nieuwendyk. Janssen is the defenseman. Nice sweep play by Makala. And it is Håkan Loob having to go back for it. Slides it to McCrimmon. And Janssen will start back, and it's wound back in. McCrimmon started the night. We're not certain of the plus-minus on this evening, but he started the night at a +30. That's second best in the league, only to Raymond Bourque of Boston, who is a +32. Well, they go eye to eye, Janssen and Roberts, but are parted. Plus and minus may be a vague statistic to some of you. It's just computed on the basis of even strength goals, whether you're on for more than you're on for goals against.
There's Al McInnes. You know, when he came into this league, he was a one-dimensional player. He really didn't understand how to play defense at all. He basically got by in junior with his big cannon. He scored a lot of points as a junior hockey player in Canada. But over the years, over the last couple of years especially, he has become a real strong two-way player. He's still not as good defensively as he is offensively, but he's not a liability. He was at one time when he came into this league, but he sure makes up for it now with better defensive play and excellent offensive play.
Brent Sutter, Lanny McDonald tripped up, and on that one, Sutter will go. So the Flames will have a chance to put their #1 power play into action again. They trail in the game 5-2.
The mid-size Dodge Dakota with new package discounts to save you up to $1,500, plus cashback savings of $500 more. When it's gotta be right, it's gotta be a Dodge.
Dodge Ram 100, 8853. The best full-size pickup buy in America. Now with $750 cash back. When it's gotta be right, it's gotta be a Dodge.
Not much question about this call to Brent Sutter. He tripped up Lanny McDonald. Rather blatant and right in front of Andy Van Hellemond. There it is.
So Sutter sits, 4th power play of the game for Calgary. And that one flipped right in on goal. Mike Bullard able to get it back to McInnes. Fakes the drive, but hands to Bullard. At the front is Nieuwendyk. Play back to McInnes, who fakes, then gives once more to Bullard. Hurries it to Suter. Drive. Oh, ricochets off Smith, and then pops up, but is worked back along, though the Flames can keep. McInnes fires one that is deflected out of play by Trottier. Go, that one popped up in the air, and I'm not certain whether it glanced off a post or after it had hit Smith or not.
When it comes from either of the point, from Suter or McInnes, good pass by Bullard right through the box. He found a seam and was able to get Gary Suter over on this side. Billy Smith doesn't have a clue where it is, but he got some help coming back in. They pass the puck so well. That's another key to the Flames' success on the power play. They pass it so well. They've got so many guys with good hands. We talked about their ability to see the ice. They've got great shooters. And look at Suter. He knows when to pinch in. Bullard was coming out, so Suter simply pinched in. There's another thing I haven't mentioned, though. They're well coached in the power play.
Suter rolls this along to Bullard, and then back to McInnes. Blue. Bullard. Neuendijk shakes away to the right of the goal now as play comes to the back. Suter once more flips one that's sailed by Neuendijk but is handled by Bullard. 1:10 to go on the power play. Neuendijk side of the net. Out in front. Loop couldn't get a good shot away. Loop back to Neuendijk. Gives it on to McGinnis. Then over to Suter. Flips one in front that is tipped away and then forced over by Conroy on defense, and they're able to clear.
You can see the options that Neuendijk has. And he does go in front, Mike. He just doesn't go and stand directly in front of Billy Smith. He stands away from the defensemen that are there defending, and then when the play moves to one side, he moves with it away from the front of the net as an outlet guy. They really know what they're doing. You can tell that they've been well coached and that they've got set plays out there.
Will wave their credentials at you again. First overall in points in the league, first in offense, and first in power play. And they have a chance to get back to within 2. 1.5 minutes to go in the second period. They trail the Islanders 5-2 and make that 5-3 on the deflection by Joe Mullen.
And as great a power play as they have, sometimes it's a little innocent shovel shot, shovel pass even, that ends up getting you a goal, and that's exactly what happened on this play. It comes back to Al McInnes. He doesn't even bother to take the time to wind up, but you know he sees Joey Mullen. Watch Al McInnes. He stopped it and simply rifled it as quickly as he could at the net. Joey Mullen was there to deflect it, and the Flames have closed to 3. The power play comes through again.
We talk about hand-eye coordination. And we take deflection so casually, I guess. Those of us who sit up here and watch and haven't played this game ourselves, but what quick work there. And in moving for this one is King. Puck knocked away by Natras. Battle continues, and back it comes near Conroy. Little chop and broken out, and if they hurry, it's a 2-on-1. Bozak gives on the wing, trying to move it in, but seeing the play break down was Brett Hall. Battle continues. They work it back to Merzen. Fires one. That into the stick of Lauer, but Merzen recovers. Side of the net. Oh, they nearly tipped it home. Bozak put it on the outside of the goal.
Calgary goal is 29th of the season, scored by number 7, Joe Mullen.
Well, if the second goal didn't pick them up, the third one has. You can see them really warming to the task now.
You bet. We've talked in the past, Mike, about how it's possible not to turn it on like a switch, but if you regroup in a locker room, get a good talking to from the coach, have your leaders speak. You know that Lanny McDonald had some words to say in there. He's been one of the guys that's been working hard on his birthday here tonight. With a couple of breaks and a goal here and there, you can get that machinery working, that mental machinery working, and the concentration will come back, and all of a sudden you're lifted, and away you go. And let's face it, the Flames are the top offensive team in the NHL. They have the top power play. They always know they can come back.
This is flipped down, but Gary Suter goes back. Don't go away in the intermission. Here is Kerr with a shot, and that ricocheted off McGinnis. Brought back up by Joe Mullen in the last 30 seconds of this period. Of course, Tom Mees will have a look at all the other games. We'll examine the game keys. Big drive by Bozak is wide. Turning with it is Diddick. And Diddick lifts it back out. Richard Dean Anderson will also be the focus of a special feature. Bozak across for Mullen, and that went wide. Mullen turned it in on goal, and Smith kicked it away. Mullen again. Finesses, couldn't get away from one chance, then in front. Couldn't get a shot away.
Did you see how far the left Billy Smith came to help himself? Wow.
It was Diddick who made the initial play that forced Mullen into some difficulty, but Billy Smith has just been sensational in this game.
And the Flames, I think, I agree, Mike, they have awakened, and they have awakened on the strength of their power play. It's just a matter of holding the Islanders now and not letting them have any more. This could turn into a real good hockey game before we get out of here.
40 minutes have come and gone. It was 5-1, but at the end of this second period, it is the New York Islanders 5 and the Calgary Flames 3.
And teams